Hold up, why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play the roulette with each step I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bet.
Welcome back, y'all. This is the Double M Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jesus Dinero, here with my co-host,
Puma El Gato.
What do we got going on tonight, my man?
Canelo's first fight after the Crawford loss is his IBF mandatory Osley Iglesias. Let's talk about it.
So now that Crawford has decided to retire, the IBF has demanded that Canelo Alvarez faces mandatory. Listen, man, there's a lot of things that can be said about the situation. I'll be honest with you, this is kind of an unknown guy, not to be disrespectful to his record or anything. But listen, IBF is notorious for pressing on who the mandatory is. So I'll give that shout out to them regardless of who it is, whether they have star power or not. They enforce their mandatory, so good on the IBF. That being said, Canelo has denied. He said, look, I'm not going to fight him. I'm not going to fight him. And I don't think there's any sort of fear type thing going on here or ducking anything. We all know Canelo has a very limited amount of fights left. What is it? 2-3 left? I don't doubt that he wants to bank as much money as possible in those last 2 to 3 fights. So that being said, listen, I don't blame him because, again, listen, man, every single boxer, doesn't matter who it is, every single boxer on the way out should go for the money fights. They should absolutely go for what's going to bank them the most, because if this is it, if this is truly the end of their career, they should get as much as possible with that. So I don't blame Canelo. As far as a lot of potential, what's out there, I mean, we all know it. David Benavidez. That's who everyone's going to continuously bring up. That fight would probably net him the most money. Win or lose, it would net him the most amount of money. I'll be honest with you, I don't know, man. I know Canelo has to know in his own mind that the ducking allegations are still pretty fresh for everybody, right? Everybody still believes that they are. I do think eventually Canelo's going to fight him, but I think it is going to be the last fight of his career, whenever that is. That way he can sort of pass the mantle, so to speak, pass the torch. So I still have belief. Maybe I'm being naive. Maybe a lot of you will call me dumb for believing that Canelo will actually fight him, but I do believe he will. Again, the biggest reason I think he will is just because it's a money fight. That's the biggest reason. As far as what else is out there, I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. I don't know too many fights are out there for Canelo as far as what we could potentially see. Again, Crawford retired, so the rematch for that's off the table. As far as the other fighters in the division, Canelo's beat them for the most part, with the exception of David Benavidez. I mean, I know David Benavidez is at 175 now, but he said I'd be willing to make 168, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know too many fights that are left that could potentially excite the fans enough to where it would give Canelo a big payday. Again, don't get me wrong, Canelo is a big payday fighter himself, so it's not like he wouldn't draw money or crowds. But I mean, the reality of the circumstances is there's only a few names. Do I think Canelo wants to go for the belts again? I doubt it. I'd be surprised if he wants to be what would be 3 times undisputed now, since he technically got back the other title. I mean, as far as legacy, I mean, he's created his legacy. I don't think there's too much more he can do left to add on to his legacy. So I don't know, man. It's a conundrum. It's a conundrum because I do believe he wants to fight at least 2 or 3 more times. But as far as potential opponents, listen, man, you got one name in the bank, and that's David Benavidez. And like I said, I think if he does fight him, he'd save that name for the very last, because I think because I'll be honest with you, I think David Benavidez would beat him. I do. After the performance he had against Crawford, he looked slow. He looked 2 or 3 steps behind. A number of things. He looked just like he just couldn't keep up. The power obviously isn't there. Normally, the power would be able to at least help him slow down Crawford. It just didn't seem like it was there. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, the only name that I really see him making the type of money that more than likely Canelo would want from a boxer would be from David Benavidez. So even though I support his decision to turn down a fight for the IBF mandatory for that vacant belt, I honestly don't know who the man's going to face. I mean, again, there's certain names you could throw out there, of course, but as far as exciting for another fight, I don't know, man. It's confusing to me. But listen, man, again, Canelo's made a lot of money because he's been very, very clever with his career, very smart with his career. So regardless of how you feel, he's smart, man. He's smart. So we'll see what happens. But what do you think about that, my man?
It's crazy that we've already seen, because of the ducking allegations that we've seen from David Benavidez is probably the most prominent one that we've seen. But The fact that there's already reports that Canelo Alvarez is already denying the fight against Osley Iglesias for the IBF. People are already saying Canelo's a duck. I always knew it. Canelo was always going to be ducking about this man. But my thing is, dog, even after the fight against Terrence Crawford, Canelo said he was going to be out until September because you got to think, he's still going to do elbow surgery. So no matter what, he always wanted, first and foremost, he always wanted the Terrence Crawford rematch. Now that's not happening because Terrence Crawford retired. Good for Terrence Crawford. But now Canelo's just kind of left in the air. But no matter what, he was still going to be gone until September. Keep in mind, two of the biggest fight dates that Canelo has always done has always been Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, and Mexican Independence Day, which is in September usually. And he always said he was going to skip Cinco de Mayo because he still had to do his elbow surgery, and he was going to go towards a September rematch against Terrence Crawford. That was always going to be the plan until it got derailed by Terrence Crawford retiring and all that. So no matter what, Canelo Alvarez was never going to fight until September at the very minimum. IBF wanted to do this mandatory against Osley Iglesias. I'm assuming they're not going to wait until September. So we're already kind of seeing that Osley Iglesias is probably going to be the IBF champion basically by interim standards, because Canelo was never going to fight in the first place unless they were going to hold off until September, which the IBF being as strict as they are, which God bless them for that, I doubt that they're going to hold off until September. So the ducking allegations, I'm not going to lie, it seems a little bit unfounded that. Ducking for Dave Benavidez, okay, we'll hold you to that. We'll definitely say that he definitely ducked Dave Benavidez in this case. But saying that this man has been ducking Osley Iglesias just because this man already said from the get that he was not going to be back until September because he already had an elbow, or he's pending for an elbow surgery. And let's be honest, I think the point that you made was pretty valid. That Osley Iglesias, again, he's 10-0, which, good for him. He still has his own and all that. But Osley Iglesias, everybody is just now finding out who this man is just by nature of the IBF's mandatory system. And again, Canelo Alvarez, I doubt he's going to be chasing any more glory anytime soon. He kind of already achieved that. And the 2-3 fights on his record, again, they're basically just going to be cash grabs at this point. Which, again, good for him. He's going to be retiring pretty soon, so he's going to be getting any bag that he wants. Any glory at this point is just going to be kind of overkill at this point. Canelo's kind of secured his legacy, whether you want to dispute that or not, if he has a legacy or not. But again, we already kind of knew, A, Canelo wasn't going to fight, at least not until September, and B, the last 2 or 3 fights, were going to be cash grabs. What money marquee value in there is for a Osley Iglesias fight? So by all accounts, this fight, let's be real, it was never going to happen. With IBF strict mandatory mandates, and the fact that Canelo was never going to come back until September, I think everybody's putting the ducking allegations way too far with this one.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know if people are gonna make allegations. I mean, they probably will. Who knows? But I think the reality of the circumstances, again, everybody knows Canelo. He's not in his prime anymore. Obviously he's slowed down quite a bit, due to injuries, due to age, due to whatever you want to call it. But I think he's got a real conundrum on his hands. I was taking a look a second ago to see who people are even talking about this guy potentially fighting. The reality of the circumstances, I don't think there's too many people that come up. I mean, people were mentioning a second Bivol fight. I'll be honest with you, I have no interest in that. Dave Benavidez, which is the one we keep mentioning, which people would still want to see that despite the circumstances. And yeah, man, I think as far as there's a couple other names that got mentioned, Diego Pacheco. Yeah, man, there's not any realistic opponents that we see coming in as far as potential fights. It's just a tough situation for Canelo. He wanted to face Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford says, I'm not doing that. He's out. He's retired. And again, we already made a video. Good for him. So yeah, I feel like for the first time in a long time, Canelo doesn't have as many options as he thinks he does. Regardless of the circumstances, again, I know that he's got a contract with Riyadh season, so I'm pretty sure it's at least 2, maybe 3 more fights. So I'm sure we'll see him for a couple of those, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. Again, no disrespect to the IBF mandatory. There's not a lot of hype for this fight. I doubt Canelo wants to fight for another belt. He's already done it God knows how many times throughout his career, so it is what it is at this point. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep you guys up to date. It'll be interesting to see where Canelo goes with this. Again, there's only really one fight that people would love to see, ourselves included. So we'll see if that happens. And with that, make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit, and until next time, get rest and stay blessed. We'll see you in the next one.